I don't play an instrument. I'm not a musician. I'm just a music fan, you know. I mean, the first record I ever bought was the Beatles, I Want to Hold Your Hand, you know. I mean, I was a massive Beatles fan and still am to this day, you know, just driven by it. When I started at NZ On Air in 1989, my job was radio, all things radio. That was public radio, national radio, Concert FM, anything to do with radio. And part of that radio job was getting more New Zealand music played on the radio, and so that became a big part of my job. And as time went on and the whole New Zealand music campaign sort of stepped up, it became the sole part of my job. So now I'm called the New Zealand Music Manager, and my job is basically to get more New Zealand music played on the radio, but more specifically on commercial radio. I love it, you know. I mean, you know, it's not often that you get a chance to kind of do a job that involves, you know, what you love, which is music. And so for me, I feel really blessed. And, you know, sometimes when I see, you know, music videos that we have funded, you know, I'm blown away by how wonderful the videos are, how exciting they are, but also then when I see the kind of, you know, the making of what goes into the music video, behind the scenes, you know, it's very humbling. NZ On Air was set up in 1989 as part of the government's deregulation of broadcasting. NZ On Air is a kind of, it's like the Arts Council of the airwaves. It exists to kind of protect and promote local content on the airwaves, New Zealand stories, New Zealand songs, New Zealand faces, and to make sure that New Zealand culture and identity is well represented. In the very early 1990s, in the wake of deregulation of broadcasting, there was a sudden explosion of radio. You know, we went from something like 40 radio stations in the country to 240 radio stations, something like that overnight, virtually. And radio became very, very risk averse, very nervous, because the marketplace had become so competitive. And suddenly, you know, the thing that suffered in all of that was New Zealand music, because it was perceived by the programmers to be risky, you know, and there was a little bit of the cultural cringe thing around at the time. And so, you know, New Zealand music plummeted. We're talking about the commercial radio stations. It was less than 2%. New Zealand music was virtually invisible. It was like a desert. In 1993, we got into the coalface promotion of New Zealand music via a thing called the Kiwi hit disc. Kiwi hit disc was a CD compilation of new releases by New Zealand artists. Every radio station was delivered a steady supply of good quality New Zealand music. And that was the beginning of NZ On Air moving away from exclusively focusing on funding, giving out grants, and getting involved in actually promoting New Zealand music, getting the New Zealand music into the radio stations. The music video is still a very important part of getting exposure for artists, and particularly for new artists. New artists really do need the music video to give the music a context, if you know what I mean. And so we've been involved with funding music videos right from 1991. It was one of the first things that we did in the promotion of New Zealand music. When we fund a music video, we are hoping that that will translate at some point into radio play. Music video acts as a kind of icebreaker in a way for the audience and for the programmers, for the broadcasters as well. And the wonderful thing about music television and the music video is that music television tends to be more adventurous than radio. Radio is still a very conservative, very safe medium, because every radio station will get pitched something like 40 songs every week, and they've got maybe only 1 or 2 places on the playlist to fill. So, you know, I mean, it's highly competitive out there and still very difficult. But the music video helps to create a vibe for the song and for the artist, and that can translate into radio play. There are lots of examples of radio hits that started at music television. A really good example is Bathe in the River, the Don McGlashan song sung by Holly Smyth from the movie Number 2. That video got massive play on television before any radio station was prepared to pick it up. But the whole momentum created by the video exposure meant radio couldn't ignore it in the end, you know, and it went on to be one of the biggest radio hits of the year. Ingenuity, number 8 fencing wire, creativity, kind of imagination is what really drives the music video industry in New Zealand. It's not money, you know. I mean, NZ On Air puts in $5,000 to every music video and has from the beginning. Some British video commissioners came down here to New Zealand to do some seminars for the British Council at one stage a couple of years ago, and they were amazed at what is achieved in this country on $5,000 music video budgets. You know, they were saying that in England, the hair and makeup budget on a pop video is something like £15,000, like 40,000 New Zealand dollars, and that's just for the hair and makeup. And so they were amazed when they saw these videos that were made for $5,000, and that's what they said. They said that the virtue, if there is a virtue, of the low budget regime is that it puts the onus on the idea. You know, the idea becomes paramount. In England, it was too easy for them to take a corny or cheesy or bankrupt idea, throw a whole lot of money at it and make it look good. Whereas in New Zealand, they couldn't do that. And the one that they kind of talked about a lot at the time was the Sophie video by Goodshirt, which was kind of like the one around at the time, which is a simple idea, but brilliantly executed. Music video has that added benefit of being a great training ground for film people. Jonathan King, who made Black Sheep, says often, I never went to film school, I learned my craft making NZ On Air funded music videos. Chris Graham, who went on to make Sione's Wedding, he made music videos to start with, and Nikki Caro. We get 750 songs submitted in any one year, and we've got a budget to do 170 or so, you know. So, I mean, it's about 1 in 4 or 5 will get through. So how do we make that decision? Well, the first thing that we want to know is if we put funding into making a music video of this song, is it going to get played? Because if it's not going to get played, then we're wasting our money. And it's not going to do the band any favours either. You know, they might have a music video, but nobody's going to see it. So in any one funding round, we will get maybe 150 or 160 songs submitted for music video funding. We'll send every one of those 150 or 160 songs out to the main users of music videos, the broadcasters like C4, MTV and Juice Music Television, the people who are the main outlets for music videos, and we'll ask them to listen to those songs and tell us which ones they are most likely to play. And that's how we get it down to a manageable number. NZ On Air then has a vote, which is to do with the strategic value of the music video to the radio airplay campaign. In other words, if the song is on one of our hit discs that our pluggers are taking out to radio at the time, then we will want to fund the video to help the pluggers to get the song added to the radio. When we started funding music videos back in 1991, it was all about getting them played on television. But of course, since the internet, the music videos become even more important in a way, you know, not less important. More important because of the likes of YouTube and Facebook and, you know, MySpace. The music video has got the potential to really travel well on the internet.